I've got a cheeky little article from Aidan Steele today on the surprising behavior in AWS Web Console session duration. Now, this one's important because of how attackers behave. Specifically, when they get in your environment, one of the things that they want to do is maintain persistence. So there's a variety of ways they could do that. One of them could be to maintain a session for as long as they can. And with that session, they can do interesting things like download all your data or install backdoors or whatever else they came here to do, install ransomware, for example. That's why this article is really important. So what Aidan found was, firstly, that credentials for IAM sessions are short-lived. For example, when you use assume role to get a session, you can get a session between 15 minutes and 12 hours. One of the other things that you can do is set up a maximum session duration when you create a role. This is the create role API, and you can pass in this parameter here. And again, it's between 1 and 12 hours. Great. When you call assume role, it actually obeys that maximum session duration. So even if you pass in something longer, you won't get a session that's longer. Great, it's all working as expected. Here's where it becomes interesting and what Aidan found. You can use a set of credentials you already have to log into the AWS Web Console. There's two ways you can do this, by using the get sign in token endpoint or the login endpoint inside the AWS Federation API. When you use this get sign in token action or endpoint, you also pass in a session duration, and you can see that here. Here's the Federation API, you're using the get sign in token action, and you pass in the session duration. Now, a reasonable person would expect that session duration to obey the maximum length, as does assume role. But it turns out that it doesn't. And so you can use a set of credentials you already have to log into the web console, get a session that's much longer. Instead of, say, an hour, you get one for 12 hours. You can then go ahead and use that session. And it turns out that that's not very well documented. There's one place that Aidan found which says the ability to create a console session that is longer than 1 hour is intrinsic to the get sign in token operation of the Federation endpoint. Okay, that doesn't specifically say, hey, you can create a much longer session than you otherwise would have. It just says that it's possible to do it. So there's some fixing up that I'm sure AWS will do in their documentation. The second part of the finding that's interesting is that you can log, or CloudTrail does log, get sign-in token operations. Great, but it doesn't include the session duration. So let's say you wanted to know if anyone's abusing this. You can't figure that out from CloudTrail because you can't tell which session duration is being set when this API is being called, which is unfortunate. However, for an attacker, here's where it gets even more interesting. Once you have this 12-hour web console session, you can go to the Cloud shell and run this command, which Aidan got from the Hacking the Cloud website, which is an awesome website which has lots of techniques. And he just used one of their described techniques to get another set of credentials, this time for the CLI. Aidan finishes by saying, hey, this isn't really a security issue. Like, there's no unauthorized access. It's just kind of breaking expectations. Again, if you implement a control that's based on these expectations, then it probably is a security issue for you. I'm sure this is something that will get looked into, but please don't rely on maximum session duration for any security controls. So with that wrapped up, I just want to direct you to Aidan's blog. Aidan writes amazing stuff very frequently on his blog. Go check it out at awsteele.com, and also check out his Twitter. Again, he's very, very active. He writes great code. He has interesting insights into AWS. Go check him out on Twitter at __Steele. And with that, please subscribe to the AWS Security Digest newsletter, and I'll see you for the next article next time.